students, in this video we are going to study about class 12 biology, chapter 5, principles of inheritance and variation. So to know this topic, we should know first what exactly inheritance means. Inheritance is nothing but heredity, and then we are going to study variation. To understand this heredity and variation, first we should know about genes. The genes can be studied under a branch of biology called genetics. So now, genetics, it is a branch of biology which deals with heredity and variation. Of course, we are all familiar with the word heredity. Now, what is heredity? Heredity is nothing but a transmission of genes from parents to their offsprings. Offsprings is nothing but young ones. So some of the genes are coming from father and some genes are coming from mother. So from mother and father, the genes will enter into the young ones. So that is called heredity. So heredity is nothing but a transmission of characters, means genes, from parents to offsprings. It is called heredity. Next we are going to understand what is variation. So variation is a degree by which progeny differ from their parents. So that means that as when you compare you with your parents, we can find there is a lot of difference. Of course, sometimes your eyes may look like your father, your nose it may look like your mother, but your height it may not be similar to either of the parents. So it means that some of the characters are not resembling with your parents. That is called variation, difference. Then again you can tell that if you see your siblings, that is your brother or sister, you can find again you and your brother or sister are not similar. Though you are of same parents, but you people are not similar to each other. That is called variation. So variation is nothing but the difference. So it is a degree by which progeny will differ from their parents. So next we can see here the terms used in genetics. To understand about the genes, we should first know about the terms which are used in genetics. The first one is nothing but gene. What is a gene? A gene is a basic unit of inheritance. It is a basic unit of inheritance, or it is a specific segment of DNA. It is a specific segment of DNA having definite number of nucleotides. Which can code for a particular protein. So let us see here what exactly gene means. So we all know that in our body it contains cells. So each cell is having nucleus. So the nucleus contains DNA. DNA is a thread-like structure. This DNA during cell division, it condenses and appears in the form of chromosomes. So now this is a chromosome. This is a chromosome in the diagram. Now, what exactly the gene means? Gene is a fragment of DNA, that is a piece of DNA. You can see here the DNA is enlarged. Out of this here, a part of this we are showing here, it is a gene. So this is nothing but a piece of DNA. What will be present in that piece means the DNA piece will have code words. So this fraction of DNA or fragment of DNA will have certain code words which will code for a particular protein. or it will code for a particular enzyme. So that is nothing but responsible for our characteristic features, our physical appearances, our enzyme formation in our body, etc. So that is what is gene. Gene, a piece or a segment of DNA which is having a definite number of nucleotides, means code words, which code for a particular protein. Now, the term gene was given by W. Johansen in 1909. So, next term is locus. So, the position of a gene on the chromosome is called locus. So, let us see what exactly it is. So, now you all know that in the cell, our body contains chromosomes. Now, this is one chromosome. Each chromosome will have many number of genes. So, now here we are seeing a loci. Loci is a plural form of locus. So, here this is a part, it is a gene. So, a gene is present. The place where the gene is located on the chromosome is called locus. So, we know now chromosomes contain gene. Exactly at which place it is present. That position, that place where the gene is located, that is called as locus. So now here in this example, in this chromosome we have given 2 genes are present here. This is a gene, this is a place where the gene is present. On the chromosome, a place where gene is present. So this gene will code for that is, here we have shown you a piece of DNA. As you know, a gene is a piece of DNA. Now this is a piece of DNA which is giving information for eyeball color. Now this is another one. In the same chromosome, there is one more gene which is located at the bottom, and it is also a piece of DNA. Genes are nothing but a piece of DNA. So this is giving information for the color of hair. So every chromosome will have plenty of genes located on it. Here we have given just 2 genes, but more number of genes will be present. The place where the gene is located, it is called as locus. So next we are going to study about allele. Alternative form of a gene that occupies the same position on the homologous chromosome. So it is called as allele. So when we say about the allele means for each and every character of our body. Character means it may be our hair pattern or nose pattern, eyeball color. Each and everything is called as a character. For every character, we require 2 genes. So they are called as alleles. So alleles are of 2 types. So one is homozygous allele. Homozygous allele. So the name homo means similar. Now here we can see organisms having similar alleles for a particular trait. Trait means again it is a character. So in this example we are studying that now these 2 are the chromosomes which are having the genes. It is seen in case of plants. It is having a genes responsible for wrinkle seed. So imagine now a seed, the shape of the seed. Now in this case we can find wrinkled seed means the seed which is having many curves. So that is called as wrinkled seed. So for the shape of the seed also a gene is required. So here you are finding that 2 chromosomes are there, 2 genes are there, but both the genes are similar. They are coding for wrinkled shape, then it is called as homozygous allele. And it can be represented by WW. So it is a recessive gene. I'll tell you what is recessive later. So this is a recessive gene, hence it is written in a small letter. Next we can find here heterozygous allele. Hetero means different. Hetero means different. Heterozygous alleles. So organisms which possess dissimilar alleles for a specific trait, it is called as heterozygous alleles. So here in this case we are finding here, imagine in another plant, a gene responsible for the seed shape is completely different. So here we can see a gene, it is coding for wrinkled shape seed. Whereas here a gene is present which is coding for round shape. So because we know that one gene is coming from the paternal and one is from the maternal. Either it may be plant or it may be any organism, human being. So here in case of plants we know that the pollen grains will contain a male gamete and the egg will contain a female gamete. So two genes we are getting. Here in this case, one is coding for wrinkled shape and another one is coding for round shape. So both are opposite to each other. So such type of alleles is called as heterozygous allele. So next we are going to study about homologous chromosomes. Homologous chromosomes. The chromosomes which are similar in their shape, size, number of genes, then they are called as homologous chromosomes. So here we can find the chromosomes. So the shape of the chromosomes, size of the chromosomes, arrangement of the genes present in the chromosomes will be same. So imagine this is a chromosome which is coming from the mother. This is a chromosome which is coming from the father. As you know, there are 23 pairs of chromosomes are present. If you imagine it is a first chromosome, so first chromosome of mother and the first chromosome of the father. So both of them are similar in their size, shape and number of genes, arrangement of genes, and they are coding for, if this is in here, imagine this is a loci, it is coding for height. Then in this chromosome also a loci exactly at the same place we can find that it also will code for height. So such type of chromosomes are called as homologous chromosomes. Next we are going to study about heterologous chromosomes. As I told you, hetero means different. Here we can find the chromosome number, shape, arrangement of the genes will vary. So here by seeing only we can make out one chromosome is larger in shape, size, and another one is smaller in its size. So that number of genes present in each chromosome also will differ. If the chromosomes are dissimilar, then it is called as heterologous chromosomes. So next we are going to study about dominant gene. So a gene which has capability to express in a hybrid condition. A gene which has a capacity to express itself in a hybrid condition, then it is called as a dominant gene. So for example here, let us take an example where a pea plant, a tall pea plant is present. Imagine this is a tall pea plant, and this is a dwarf, means short pea plant. So we are taking two pea plants. So one is small or the dwarf pea plant and this is a pea plant which is tall. Imagine it is tall pea plant. When a cross is made between these two, cross in a sense, the pollen grains of this from the short plant, we are collecting the pollen grains, and it is deposited on the stigma of this flower. So on the stigma, the pollen grains are deposited. So understand properly here. So a tall plant, it is acting as a female flower, and in this short plant, we are taking out the pollen grains. So when the pollen grains are deposited, like cross pollination, later on after fertilization, the flower will become a seed. That is fruit. Flower will become a fruit. Inside the fruit there will be a seeds. So once the complete development has taken place, you can find that in this tall plant you are going to see the seeds will be developed. So if you collect these seeds and if you sow it in a soil, from the seed tall plants will be developed. Only tall plants will be developed. So this indicates that a gene responsible for showing a tall characteristic feature is dominant. A gene which has a capacity to express in a hybrid condition. Now one plant we have taken it as a tall plant, one we have taken it as a short plant. So both of them are opposite to each other. When a cross is made, it is called as a plant which we are getting in the next generation. It is called as a hybrid plant. So now in the hybrid, only tall plant is expressed, whereas dwarf is not expressed. So tall is called as a dominant. Whichever is expressed, that is called as a dominant gene. And next we are going to study about a recessive gene. A gene which fails to express. In presence of a dominant gene. Now in the same example, when we took tall plant and the short plant, in the first generation, imagine that you didn't find any short plants. So short plant is not expressed. So a gene which is not able to express, then it is called as a recessive gene. Imagine that if two persons are fighting, the one who is strong, he will defeat the other one. The strongest person is called as a dominant person. The one who failed to win is called as a recessive person. So any gene which is expressing itself in a hybrid condition is called dominant. A gene which is not able to express, it is called as a recessive gene. Next we are going to study about hybrid. So as I already told you, when two different parents contrasting, they are having a contrasting characters. So that is, as I told you already, one tall plant and one dwarf plant. Imagine this is a short plant and this is a plant which is tall. So when a cross is made between both, as I already discussed, pollen grains collected from this short plant, when it is deposited on the flower of the tall plant, in F1 generation, in the first generation, whatever you plant you are getting, that is called as hybrid plant. That is called as hybrid. So two plants which are having contrasting characters, when you cross these two plants, in the first generation, whatever plant you are getting, that is called as a hybrid plant. Okay. So next we are going to study about phenotype. a physical appearance of an individual, or even you can write it as a physical appearance of an organism. So it may be plant or it may be animal. So here we can say it is phenotype. So physical appearance, external morphology. So when you see any plant, you can tell that it is red rose is produced. Rose color of the rose is red. Plant is tall. So any characteristic feature, if you are telling, it is having a green leaves. So morphological, physical features when you are explaining, when you are telling, then it is called as phenotype. In any individual, if you see, you can discuss that he is too tall. Tall is a phenotype which is seen through your naked eye. And then he is put on his weight. His eyeball color is black. He is having curly hairs. All these things are, that is tallness or eyeball color and hair pattern, etc. All these are called as phenotype. So next we are going to study about what is genotype. The genetic makeup of an individual. The genetic makeup of an individual means what genes are present inside the organism. That is called as genotype. See, if you look at your friend, imagine he is appearing tall. You are thinking that he is tall, but you don't know what gene is present in his body. So for tallness, a person may have both dominant gene, means he might be receiving from the father also dominant tall gene and from the mother also dominant tall gene. So if he is, because I told you each and every character requires two genes. So from father also he got capital T, we will write for dominant nature. And for recessive nature, we will use small letters. So now here capital T. So one from father, one from mother he has got. And because he is having only tall genes, a person is looking tall. A person is tall. So it is a homozygous tall, as we have already discussed in the definition. Sometimes, though your friend is looking tall, in his body, the genes will be one capital T and another one will be small t. So capital T is a dominant gene. He is getting, imagine from his father, he is getting a capital T, that is dominant gene he is getting. From his mother, he is getting a recessive gene. From mother he has got recessive gene, means which cannot be expressed. As I told you, dominant gene can be expressed, recessive gene cannot be expressed. But still a person will appear tall. Sorry. So that is what here we can say. So sometimes the allele will be heterozygous. The genotypic ratio or genotype of it cannot be seen. Genotype means what gene is present in my body or in your body. That if you are identifying, then it is called as genotype. So next we are going to study about pure lines. So what is pure lines means, if anything, any plant, if it is undergoing self-breeding. So many number of times the self-breeding is done, then we can say a pure line is obtained. So means now a plant is present, the pollen grain. Now in this plant, we know very well that a carpel is a female part which is having stigma, style and ovary, and anther is a male part. So this is an anther. So anther produces pollen grains. So the pollen grains will be deposited on the stigma of the same flower. Then it is called as self-pollination. So self-pollination, if it is being continued for many generations, imagine for 6 to 7 generations, if you are continuously doing self-pollination, the genes will become to certain standard. Means if it is having dominant gene, I mean to tell, it will as it is undergoing self-pollination, so the genes will come, it will become either completely dominant or completely recessive. For example, if it is having for tallness, as now itself we have told, if this plant is also having for the tallness one capital T, one small t, that is dominant and recessive gene, if this plant is continuously done self-pollination, imagine for 6 to 10 generations, at the end you can see this plant will have only dominant gene. So to get this genes, we have to do selfing. So we will get later pure lines, means whichever plant you are getting from this, you will get all tall plants only. So this is called as pure lines. So next we are going to study about mono-hybrid cross. The name itself indicates mono means single. Hybrid means, as I told you, when a parent is having contrasting characters. So a cross between two parents which differ in one pair of contrasting characters is called as mono-hybrid cross. Now imagine, so this is a two plants I have taken. Imagine it is a pea plant. However, the leaf pattern for this plant, same leaf pattern is seen even in this plant. And the stem of this plant and the other plant, of course both are pea plants only. The stem is also same, they appear similar. Root is also appearing similar. Similarly, it is appearing. The flower, in this plant, the flower is appearing on sides. Imagine on sides it is appearing. Even in this plant also, on the side only the flower will be developed. So both the plants are similar in all the characteristic features except only one, that is height. So now this plant is short, this plant is tall. So only in one characteristic feature, so both of them are differing. Then it is called as mono-hybrid cross. So next we are going to study about dihybrid cross. A cross between two parents which differ in two pairs of contrasting characters. So here a cross is done where the parents will differ in two pairs of contrasting characters. Imagine now again, so these two are the plants. Imagine these two are the plants. So now here a root pattern is same, root is same, stem is same. Imagine flower color. So here the flower color is red. Imagine the flower color is red here. And then, so this is having it is producing a red color flower. And whereas in this plant, you are finding that it is producing a flower which is, so it is producing a flower which is blue in color, So here the color of the flower has changed. One character has been changed. Next character has, I told you, short and tall. So both the plants except two characteristic features, all the other characters are similar. Then it is called as dihybrid cross. Di means two. Hybrid means, as I told you, contrasting characters. Two contrasting characters in the parents will differ. So next we are going to study about trait. What is this trait? Trait is nothing but it is a distinguishing feature of a character. Any character you are able to tell, you can distinguish. This is red in color, this is tall, this is green pod, this is yellow pod. The flower is present at the tip region. So that we are calling it as a trait, characteristic features either of the plant or of the animal. So next we are going to study about F1 generation. So F here in genetics, F means it is filial. Filial. F means filial. Filial in Latin, filial means first. So first generation. So F1 generation is nothing but when a cross is made between two parents, whatever plants you are getting in first generation, that is called as F1 generation. So as I already explained you, if two parents are present, imagine the tall plant is crossed with the short plant. So small t we will use for recessive. And in the F1 generation, whatever plant you are getting, you will get a tall plant, you will get a tall plant. This tall plant, we are calling it as a F1 generation. The next one we can find in the next session. We are going to discuss about Mendel contribution or Mendel and his works.